ever wondered how you can break a bad habit or create a good habit? Well, I think you probably already know that habits control your entire life from the moment you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. But what if I told you that it actually wasn't that simple and that patterns also control us in our sleep and they're really located and embedded in your subconscious? So it's ultimately the force that controls your life. And they're a series of patterns that are in our subconscious. At this point, you're probably thinking, so if they're all embedded in my subconscious, what is the point in trying to do anything about it, right? Well, that's actually the good news, because when you form a habit or create a pattern, you can start to automate that part of your life. But here's where it gets even better. The first step to creating a new pattern is just being aware of it. So when you become aware of your patterns, that in itself is the foundation of changing. That's in personal development and all areas of your life. The foundation of change is intention and awareness. So think of a habit or patterns as something that takes some initial effort to really build and to really reinforce, but then it runs on its own with minimal effort. It's almost like an automation on your computer. It just runs on autopilot. So how exactly do you break a bad habit or build a good one? So, well, first off, I don't believe that you can really break a bad habit by itself, because your brain, it hates a vacuum. So what you really need is a productive habit to replace it with. And I like to think of it as productive versus destructive, because when you think of it as good and bad, our brain doesn't really think of it that way. And these habits that serve your goals and the person that you want to become, they're patterns that either pull you away from where you want to be or toward the person that you want to become. So try to think of them in those terms. Think of them not in right or wrong or good or bad habits. Now, I believe in a moral code. I think there's a right versus wrong, but our brain is designed to answer questions. It's designed to solve problems. So think of it in terms of productive versus destructive. James Ray has said that habits are simply reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. So our brain is wired to solve those problems. So that's what habits do, is it's this reliable system. So quickly, how to form a habit or pattern is you just need to know the ingredients. It's like a baker making a cake. If I walked into the kitchen right now and I just grabbed a bunch of random things, threw them in a bowl, and then threw them in the oven, what are the chances that it's going to make a delicious cake, right? Pretty low chances. You have to understand what the triggers are that form the habit. Those are kind of the ingredients. Then the routine that you follow after that trigger. That's the syntax or the order in which you do them, and then the reward that you get from solving the problem. How do you put all these pieces together to actually form something that's meaningful? Charles Duhigg calls this the habit loop. The cue, the routine, or the reward. And then James Clear has something that's very similar in his book Atomic Habits, where he says it's the cue, the craving, the response, the reward. So it's kind of basically the same thing. But that's how you start to create that. And I'm actually going to create an even deeper video next week about how we actually use that habit loop to reinforce. But today I want to talk about patterns. So first step, like I said, first step is to become aware, because obviously when you aren't aware of something that's happening, you can't do anything about it, right? This is what Tony Robbins calls pattern recognition. So the first step is just knowing that you're in a pattern. Plus, realize that you are not the pattern. You are a person with a unique fingerprint and a unique soul that's running a pattern. So if you know that you're running the pattern, you can either adjust it, you can change it, or you can create a new one. Second thing is learn to use the patterns you already have. Tony calls this pattern utilization. So this could be using a habit or routine that's already embedded in your life, and you can swap out actions to ones that are more productive. For example, when I actually started to implement my really powerful morning routine, I was already getting up in the morning. I just changed the things I did and the time that I did them, and it transformed my entire mind and body just with one really simple habit. Number 3 is start to create your own patterns. Tony calls this pattern creation or true mastery. So this is where you start to create change in your own life. This is where true intention starts to take over and you start to actually live with purpose. Instead of just letting life happen to you, you take the bull by the horns. You take life by the reins. Remember, you are not your habits, but they do control you. So what I would love for you to do this week is start to look at the habits, with your habits with intention. Start to pull apart the triggers, the routines, and the rewards that you get from solving all the problems in your environment, because we all have them, right? Your brain is a problem-solving machine. It's what it was built to do. And as you start to recognize patterns, you can start to utilize them. And then you can finally start to get true mastery and start to create your own patterns and your own life. And hey, if you're a real estate professional and you're ready to start recognizing the patterns, you're ready to start utilizing them and changing them to what serves you, and ultimately start creating your own success habits, join me for my free workshop on Thursdays. It's called the Realtor's Edge Workshop, and I'm going to go really deep into how this works. There's a link in my bio. Just start watching your patterns today, and I'll see you soon.